So I've been saying for a while that the Greenville Group houses some concerningly large numbers of sex offenders in their building complex here on the corner of Union Ave and Green Street. Specifically, the building at 191 Green Street seems to be a holding pen for perving, creeping, wanking sex offender career thugs who all claim to be BLM activists. But there's also a number of sex offenders who seem to live in this building here at 5 Union Ave, even though Mr. Elisayev, the pedophile-loving property manager, claims that this is a building for people who work and pay rent out of pocket and don't get subsidies or Section 8 or anything like that. However, I keep reporting that there's a mentally disturbed violent psycho directly below me in 76. I don't know if it's the same violent psycho that's lived there for the last 3 or 4 years and who has come up to my door on multiple occasions trying to break it down and screaming and shouting that he or it could hear me washing things in my sink or hear me walking around, or if this is a new violent piece of perving, creeping, surveillance using sex offender trash. But just now, as I was having a conversation with my mom over the phone and mentioning my nieces and nephews by name, none of my nieces and nephews have ever been to this building. They certainly don't hang out in this neighborhood. And a couple of them live all the way across the country. The violent piece of pedophile trash who lives directly below me started smacking the area beneath my bed while I was lying on my bed just now talking to my mom violently each time I mentioned my little nephew's name. I did not say on the phone that he is my nephew because we know that that's what he is, and I was talking to my mom. However, the sex offender directly below in 76 seems to have knowledge of which name I was using and who that name was referring to, because each time I mentioned that name over the phone, that perving, creeping, violent piece of sex offender trash started violently hitting the area below my bed. It was actually closer to that corner right there. I was on the phone with my mom for approximately 35 minutes. And during the course of those 35 minutes, every single time I mentioned my nephew's name, and my nephew lives in another state, that violent piece of pedophile scum started doxing the fact that they have knowledge of what I say and do in the privacy of this living space, and also that they have knowledge of who my family members are, specifically the children in my family. This is a little boy, and each time I mentioned this little boy's name, that piece of pedophile BLM psycho trash started violently hitting the area directly below my bed where I was having a conversation with my mom. So it is now right around 9:05 p.m. on Saturday, March 8th, 2025. And I keep saying that there is a very mentally disturbed, hate-stalking group of pedophile pieces of shit that claim to be BLM activists and that have gone to the police station here on the corner of Washington Street and Green Street approximately 8 years ago, or maybe they've been there since then, claiming that I am racist towards them because I don't provide them with sexual favors. And they're very angry about that. And they think that I owe them something and that my family owes them something. So in some sort of sick and twisted, low-life scum move, they have targeted me and my family by getting the police to okay the use of surveillance devices in this area, in my living space. Obviously, they know what I say and do on my phone. They know who my friends are. And this is completely illegal because A, I am not a criminal. B, I have nothing to do with these pieces of shit. I don't interact with these low-life trash at all. And it targets children that these pieces of pedophile filth should have no knowledge of. If the person who lives directly below me in 76 is who I think they are, it's a pedophile. It's a sex offender. It's a mentally disturbed, severely sick and twisted piece of shit named Jasmine Irizarry. And that's the person who I think is making violent slamming and pounding noises directly beneath my bed each time I mention my little nephew's name, who she should have no knowledge of. I wasn't saying, oh, this is my nephew, because obviously my mom knows who my nephew is. That's her grandson. I was simply mentioning his name, and that violent piece of shit wants to let me know that she has knowledge of who he is and what his name is each time I mentioned his name over the course of my phone conversation with my mother over the last 35 minutes. And because I'm talking in a normal conversational volume, when I speak on the phone, nobody outside of this unit should have any knowledge of anything that I am or am not saying while I'm on my phone in the privacy of this living space. But again, as probably several dozen people associated with this building complex have told me over the last 8-10 years, they're using surveillance devices in here, and everybody gets to see what you do in there, you crazy bitch. So they're not trying to be nice by telling me that there are surveillance devices being used in this living space. They're trying to brag about it and literally shove it in my face that they, quote, get to see what you do in your bathroom. That's been told to me several times by a number of the perving, creeping, wanking, pedophile filth that do this stuff under the banner of BLM activism. This is all a bunch of BLM psycho trash who hate stalk people who don't want to be their special friends. They just hate stalk people in general. They have nothing else going on. And that's why BLM is a total joke. And they have been completely deplatformed by Amazon for embezzling millions of dollars of donation money on strippers, hookers, and peep show workers. And there is a brilliant documentary, as I keep saying, that has been made by Candace Owens, who herself is a Black female, but she's obviously not buying the lies and the joke that is BLM. She made a documentary about BLM's embezzlement of millions of dollars on trafficking women's bodies, on hiring hookers and strippers, and generally just being a bunch of low-life scum, as everybody should know that they are. Just take a look at their record. Who works for BLM? A bunch of pedophiles, and some of them live in this building, and one of them is directly below me in 76, and that just happened right now. So that needs to be noted, because as I keep saying, the children in my family are also being targeted by this group of BLM pedophile, hate stalking psycho trash. By psycho trash, I don't mean people who legitimately are seeking treatment for their depression or their anxiety or their OCD or whatever. I'm talking about career thugs who are severely mentally disturbed, rape women, molest children, and just destroy communities and destroy other people because these people don't want to provide them with sexual favors and don't want to, bow down to their Marxist, violent, domestic terrorist agenda. That's BLM. They are not a legitimate organization that helps Black people. They actually have nothing to do with Black people and everything to do with an anti-American, violent agenda that does not help anybody and certainly does not help the Black community. So BLM, go kill yourselves. You're disgusting. You're a bunch of pedophile, perving, creeping, wanking pigs that need to just leave the planet. Leave me and my family alone, especially the children in this family, and I'm going to report this to the police.